Hello and welcome, my friends. You know what? I honestly didn't think I'd be making a new video this quick. But here we are. So let's do it. Okay, so here's the deal. As you can tell by the title of this video, this is about dealing with people who are moving from failed states like California, New York,
Oh, shit.
Illinois,
No! No!
and like states. Basically blue states, Democrat-run states, states that have been run by Democrats for a long time, or states where the Republicans aren't really Republicans. Because let's be clear, I am not a Republican or a Democrat. I am an independent. I am an independent because I can't stand either of the parties right now because they're not really in this for us. They're really in it for themselves. And I'm not okay with that anymore. I'm sick and tired of them pretending to hate each other, out in public and then behind closed doors. They're all buddy-buddy. They're all scratching each other's backs, doing it. I mean, I think there's less of that now than there was because I think there's some real diehards that are getting in who aren't willing to play the games anymore. The old guard is starting to fall away, and the new guard, the younger generations, are actually gaining some courage of their convictions. The socialists are shedding their masks of being Democrats and are actually just coming out and saying that they're socialists now and they're communists and they are what they've always been. They're just not hiding under the Democrat mask anymore.
Cause of
Come
what?
again?
And they're kind of the same with the Republicans, although it's not the same thing because the one main difference between the Democrats and the Republicans is the Democrats have decided to embrace their crazy. They've decided to, bring the socialists in, hug them, love them, kiss them until they get stabbed in the back and their party's taken over. As where the Republicans, we still don't want the white supremacists. We still kind of clap back at the Nick Fuentes and the other people who are saying stuff that's not okay. Some of what Nick Fuentes says, I can agree with. And I think he has a point. Some of what he says, I think is a bunch of crap, and he's just trying to play the blame game, blaming other people for problems that we've created ourselves. But like I said, the topic of this video really is about the migrations that are happening within our own country. Now, I'm not talking about the migrations of illegal individuals who have been let into our country by a bunch of scumbags seeking to line their own pockets and ensure their political power into the future. Yes, I'm talking about both parties. The fact of the matter is that only one party, though, is actually trying to fix some of this problem, as where the Democrats are trying to perpetuate this problem. Which is funny because, even 15, 20 years ago, the parties were almost on the same exact page on this. It's only been in the last few years where they have completely given in to basically destroying this country from within. And using other nationalities and other people and marginalized groups and stuff to try and do it. And they've gone full steam. I mean, they've always been trying to do that, but now they're really not being careful about it anymore.
Oh, I'm shaking in my custom baby seal leather boots.
So, now what led to this video is I had a very unpleasant interaction with a person on Facebook. Yes, I know I'm 51 and I still use Facebook. Mainly because there's a lot of people that I know that are on there because they're in their 50s and older too. But I also use YouTube and other things, but I don't use TikTok and I probably never will. And I'm kind of thinking about getting off Twitter because as much as I'm grateful for the free speech platform, it seems like the Twitter algorithm is spending all its time now trying to just piss me off. They're trying to shove democratic craziness in front of me with the most radical examples in an attempt to stir me up to lose my mind. And I don't like that. I don't like being baited. I don't like people trying to make me feel things I don't want to feel. But anyway, so this came about because in the area where I live, there's a very contentious mayoral race that's happening in the city that's closest to me. That's kind of our major city here in Idaho Falls. And it's brought up a lot of issues. It's brought up a lot of things that are dividing people and making people mad. And a lot of this has been centered around the fact that Idaho, along with states like Texas, Utah, and other red states throughout the country, Kentucky, different states, Florida, are being inundated by people from these failed states. Now, I'm not talking about failed government states. I'm talking about failed U.S. states, like say California and the like. And my problem isn't with these people deciding to get out of those bad situations and moving to Idaho, or moving to Utah, or moving to Florida or Texas or wherever. I don't have a problem with that. As I said in my post on Facebook, my problem is with those people choosing to move to a new state and thereby instituting the same exact policies, procedures, voting systems, and everything that they're fleeing. Okay, their policies and the people they voted for, all the Democrats that involved transgenderism and homosexuality in every single aspect of your life, and all of these liberal things and high taxes and free government this and free government that, which isn't free. We all pay for it. We just become enslaved to taxes. So the people who do work and try and run businesses and actually produce something in this country end up paying for more and more people who are just giving up and living off the system.
I super hate you.
It feels very much like watching the Matrix come to life in real time, where people are being lured to sleep by the system. That part in the Matrix where he's talking about, and Morpheus is walking in front of Neo. What do you see? Bankers, doctors, lawyers, and he freezes it, and Neo's like, what the hell? That's what I feel like we're living in. Anyway, this interaction that I had with this man, I apologize for jumping around. I'm just trying to kind of give you a feel for what's been happening, and probably things that you're seeing on your own. But this interaction with this guy was, and it wasn't even with him originally. It was about somebody who posted trying to pretend like they didn't want to be divisive and they didn't like how the divisive politics are happening in Idaho Falls and we should be better than this, and then immediately started attacking one of the candidates. Now, I don't have a dog in this fight because I don't live in Idaho Falls. I don't really care, other than the fact then that it kind of affects me when I go into that city. The problem is we have a huge influx of people that are coming in trying to escape the failed United States that we have. And so it's overwhelming our infrastructure, our housing, the housing costs. In 2008, I bought my house for $208,000. My house right now is roughly worth $600,000, possibly even more. And so if I sold my house right now, I couldn't go back out and buy another house. I couldn't go out and build another house. We're trapped. And the kids that are growing up now, the people who are just starting out, like they've been priced out of the housing market. And I know it's not just happening in Idaho. This is happening in a lot of places that are being inundated by these liberal refugees coming out of states. And my quote was, I don't have a problem with you coming here. But I do have a problem with you coming here and trying to turn us into the place you just left. And if that's what you want to do, get the hell out. Get out. We don't want that here. We don't need that here. We don't want you to try it again and see if you can make it work this time, because socialism's never really been tried. But if you try it this way, it's going to work.
How can you be deaf with ears like that?
It's not. It's never going to work. And New York's about to find that out. I mean, New York's already a cesspool. And I've never been there because I don't like falling into cesspools. I'm the kind of guy that's just like, I don't need to be knee deep in shit to realize I don't like this. But I mean, now they've double and tripled down on their stupidity, and they're gonna f around and find out. And my fear is that it's going to drive more of those liberal psychos out of New York, the ones that can escape, and they're going to keep moving to places like where I live, probably more Florida and Texas, because most of the people in New York don't realize Idaho's a state. They don't realize that there's a whole country outside of New York. I mean, they see it on a map, but they're like, I don't know, but I mean, they're just not particularly bright people. By the way, this is going to be a little bit of a long video. I apologize for that, but I don't apologize for that because this is something that really needs to be discussed. Because there's some ramifications here that I don't think people are prepared for, and I'm a perfect example of that. Because of this interaction, what I said, I had some lunatic get on there, and his comment was something to the effect of, it must be terrible to be so afraid of life. I mean, just think about that for a minute. Based on what I've said, what part of what I've told you that I commented on this lady's post, what makes you think, I mean, would you ever think, oh, Brian's afraid of life? And so my comment back to him was, that is literally the dumbest comment I have ever read.
That is literally the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Please, Wildstyle, let me handle this. That idea is just the worst.
Which is saying something, because there's so many dumb comments online. But seriously, it was just, I was like, okay, this person's retarded. Yeah, I know we're not supposed to say that anymore, but I grew up in the 70s and 80s, and I'm never going to stop saying that. So you can get mad. I don't care. But here's the deal. And he comes back, just because you don't understand a comment doesn't make it stupid. And then he went on and was like, if you're just trying to take away people's freedom. And I literally, like, seriously, I about lost my shit. Pardon my French. Because that is such a gaslighting thing to say. This coming from and he proceeded to tell me how they should be able to be free to choose where they want to live, and I shouldn't be able to say anything and stuff. And this is all based off my opinion, okay? I don't have governmental power, okay? I can't send the Gestapo. I can't send anybody to kick these liberal psychos who are moving in here out. Okay, all I can do is say my opinion and hope that they're bright enough to figure out maybe I don't want to piss off all the locals. But these people, like this guy, aren't smart enough to realize that. And so I basically said, and I'll be the first to say, I was more emotional at that point, and I wasn't saying what I wanted to say very well, but I've had some time to think about it, and hopefully it comes out better here. But this guy was just, I could tell he was just deranged. Okay, and he's the Howard Stern guy out there. He's the liberal guy who only cares about freedom when it's his freedom. That's all that matters. Okay, nobody else's freedom matters. Only thing that matters is him and what he wants. And he's not thinking about anybody else. As where I am thinking about everybody who lives in Idaho, who grew up in Idaho, who wants to live like Idahoans live. And the same thing that goes for people who are in Texas and Florida and all these other places who have great states, who have great places that they live because they live by morals and codes, and they have a particular culture, and they believe certain things, and they've built that lifestyle that has made the state a prosperous and good place to be. And these people come in and decide that they're going to fix it against our will. So, I mean, it's total gaslighting to claim that he's all about freedom. and you know that oh, I'm trying to steal people's freedom. Actually, no, I'm trying to protect all of the freedoms that the people had before you and your psychotic beliefs got here. And this is the thing that I really want to get to. These people who are moving in, I want to speak to you. People who are leaving, fleeing these failed United States states. You need to understand something. The people in the areas where you're fleeing to, if you move there and attempt to destroy their way of life, attempt to tell them how to live, to attempt to change things, and that's the other thing this guy said, was that I was afraid of change. It's like, no, I'm not afraid of change. I'm afraid of your kind of change. Just like I'm afraid of the kind of change that Barack Obama talked about, because then his wife comes out and says, we're going to change your traditions, and we're going to change your this, and we're going to change your religion, and we're going to change all your... Me personally, you can keep your effing change. Okay? I don't want your kind of change. Your kind of change destroyed where you came from. And you have no business coming here and spreading it to us. Okay? That makes you no better. And I was thinking about this today. It reminds me of the conversation that Morpheus and Agent Smith have when Morpheus is captured in the Matrix. And these people are a plague. They're a disease. They're parasites. They go to an area. They feed on everything that they can get. They vote in terrible things. They destroy the systems in the area where they are. They overburden them. They suck off everything they can get. And then when all of the resources are expended, when everything's a wreck, when there's human feces all over in your city, where you have basically created a degenerate state of misery, these people then decide to get up and leave and go somewhere else and spread that misery to another area, as Agent Smith said. Never thought I'd be talking about Agent Smith like he had a point, but he kind of does in this particular case. Maybe not in the way he was talking about it, but in the way I'm talking about it, there is a point. See, the problem is these parasites, these human viruses that show up and suck dry everything around them and ruin everything they touch. There's going to be, you know, in science, there is that law of for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. And that's what I was trying to explain to this guy. And like I said, I didn't do it very eloquently. There's going to be a reaction by people like me. We're going to make you miserable. We're going to do terrible things to you and your kids to make you not want to be here anymore. And I'm not saying that in a violent way. I'm saying that as a human nature thing. It's human nature to try and protect that which you have against those who would take it. And that's what this guy wants. He wants to come in here and take away everything I've had my whole life and steal it for himself, use it up, and then he'll try and run to another area. I'm never going to leave. I don't want to live somewhere else. I love Idaho. Now, that's not to say I hate Texas or Florida or California. I don't hate any of these places. I hate what those people have done to those places. They have corrupted and ruined the greatness that once was this country, and the greatness that once was cities like San Francisco. It used to be a beautiful and wonderful place, and apparently my light just decided to... Okay, I apologize for that. My light just blew up. Anyway, so dark face now. Anyway, I'll try and speed this along. But this has repercussions. This is the kind of stupidity and ignorant, narcissistic thinking that leads people to violent action. It's the same kind of thing that's leading to the distrust and hatred amongst races, where each and every race is pulling back inside themselves because of the problems that they see coming, whether you're Black, Asian, Hispanic, which isn't a race, if you're from South America, if you're white, if you're whatever, people are starting to pull back. And that's why guys like Nick Fuentes is getting traction. Not because he's right, but because there's been such a narcissistic betrayal of who we actually are as people, And as a country and as a society, that we're not melding anymore. We are not the melding pot. We are the individual castes and groups, and we're filtering down into lowest common denominators, and eventually that leads to bad places. And I actually, for the first time in my life, and it has really troubled me, I threatened somebody online. And this man, he comes back and he's like, well, you're just a keyboard warrior and you're never going to do anything. And I wish you luck. It's total douchery, total gaslighting, trolling piece of crap, which is what I've come to expect from people who are moving here from California and other places, which is one of the reasons we don't like them. And it's sad because they're not all that way and they don't all deserve to be treated that way. But that's the problem. When you run into people like this, it causes that visceral reaction, that pullback that eventually will lead to major problems between groups of people because people are not being aware. The self-awareness of our population is gone. People don't seem to understand the danger of what they're doing, and then of that their narcissism will end up destroying all of us. It will lead to more racism. It will lead to more polarization between groups, this group against that group. And it won't matter what group you're in, but and the people that want to destroy this country, the outside and inside this country, they love this. They love this because diversity is not our strength. It has never been our strength. It will never be our strength. We put on our currency e pluribus unum, from many one. That's what America is. That's what we're all about. We are not about differences. We are not about diversity. We are about unity, coming together, putting aside our differences and finding what binds us together. But that's not what's happening anymore. Those people who want to see the United States fall, and fall we will if we do not turn away from this garbage. This is what will happen. These people want this. They want the diversity, the polarization. They want this to happen. They want to drive this narcissism and this belief that I'm right no matter how destructive what I just did was. I hope I never meet this person in real life because I don't think it would go well for either one of us. But I immediately went and deleted that because basically he said that to me and I said, well, I'll meet you anytime, anywhere. First time in my life I was ever driven to that kind of anger online, where I physically was ready to go and beat the crap out of somebody because I just couldn't take their stupidity, their gaslighting, their complete disassociation with reality. That I just felt like this person needs a reality check, and I'm tired of waiting for other people to do it. And I realized how bad that was. And I realized I was falling prey and being trapped by the very things that I've been worried about for some time. It finally got to me to the point where I broke. And it made me realize that we need to be paying better attention to how we're handling these things. And that we do need to be dealing with these issues when people are moving into our communities. If they come there to destroy, to corrupt, to ruin, we need to try it, and without violence, without any kind of thing. But I've never been that guy who thought we need to push back and push those people out of our society. But I'm there now. Because we can't let them corrupt everything everywhere. Because they will. These people do not understand, and I'm not trying to other them. They have othered themselves. This is not me trying to do something bad. This is them pushing guys like me, who are live and let live guys, to the breaking point. And this is where a lot of us are. And sooner or later, it doesn't end well. And as long as our politicians continue to do things that are self-serving, stupid, and idiotic in dividing us, eventually we will break. And the problem is all those people who pushed us into breaking, I don't think they're going to like what happens to them. Anyway, I've given you a lot to think about in this video. I have had a lot to think about over the last few days. I apologize for this being long, but like I said, I kind of don't, because this is scaring me. Like I said, this is the first time it's been brought home to me in such a powerful and emotional way to where I'm like, this is dangerous. This is very dangerous for all of us. People will get hurt. Things will go bad. We will have a crackdown. We will end up in a society like China where we are watched and monitored by the state because they have so enraged and crazed the population that the excessive measures are brought in to bring us back under control. And the dirty little secret is that the people who will come in to stop it are the very people who caused it in the first place. And they don't want us to realize that. They don't want us to stop fighting each other and turn our attentions on them, because that's what they're afraid of. They know there are a lot more of us than there are of them, and they don't want us to pay attention to that. They don't want us to focus on them and their divisive issues and the things that they're doing to try and destroy us from within. Anyway, let me know what you guys think about this. Am I off base here? Is this crazy? Don't be afraid to tell me that. It's okay. Just like I said, unlike this guy, all I do is ask you to be respectful about it. And thank you for watching. I appreciate you guys being here, and we will talk to you all next time. Bye now.